Well, a very good morning and welcome to this edition of the Topical Discussion. I am Simon Kagwa Njala. Well, still weighing the good, the bad and the ugly about the regional parliamentary sittings that kick off tomorrow in Gulu. As we speak, there is a lot of buzz, there is a lot of activity happening. Well, they kick off today. But plenary will be tomorrow, where the president will also be speaking to the legislators. Already as we speak, hordes and hordes of legislators are in Gulu, camped in Gulu, ahead of the sessions. But there is also a sentiment from the opposition pointing to a boycott. How significant is this? We'll also be examining the different notions. Is it indeed that time where Parliament is connecting with the people? And is this the best way for Parliament to regain the tainted image? It's coming at a time where there is bad spotlight on Parliament. What does all this mean to national politics? I'm joined this morning by Mr. Mwebesa, a political analyst. A very good morning and nice to have you.
Good morning and good morning to the listeners there.
Well, do you feel the excitement about regional parliamentary sittings?
Excitement is too big a word to use. Why should I have the excitement?
Yes, there is a bit of nervousness. The country is saying yes. Is there anything to watch?
Napoleon, the ruler of France, about more than 200 years ago, said that men, here I am not referring to gender issues, human beings, that is to say, are ruled by toys or are led by toys. And by that expression, he meant that politics is not only about issues of the day or issues to be discussed, but nation building and the politics, there is a politics of symbolism. That emotions also and sentiments play a part in politics. And maybe these regional parliamentary sittings are going to excite some people emotionally. And you remember Uganda, we are just nation building. So if people can just be excited, as you put it, as you rightly put it, and feel connected to a national institution, because we lack national institutions, or if we have them, we lack those attachments to national symbols and institutions. So this is another case of displaying maybe some attachment to national symbols. And Parliament is one of those national institutions and a symbol. As to whether there will be substance in respect of discussions during these parliamentary sittings or not, that's a different matter. But the issue is that there is going to be some symbolic politics, and there is going to be politicking. And
where's the politicking?
I mean, the ruling party is going to take advantage of these regional sittings and say, we are here, we are bringing you parliament, we know you, we are not leaving you behind, and there will be statements to that effect of what we have achieved and this and that and that. So, in relation to that, I have had debates of around the issue of some people, some members of parliament, especially the opposition, mainly I think NUP or something like that.
No, the leader of opposition represents the entire schedule.
The entire schedule, representation is a different case, by the way. Representation means you are carrying the views of everybody, but it may not be the case. But anyway, I think that it is not wise on the side of those who want to boycott. First of all, the reasons given for boycotting is that we are wasting national resources. Recently, I saw some statement which excited me on social media about somebody, it was an analogy, a figurative language, that it is useless to start burglar-proofing your house when the thief is already inside, because he will open the locks and get out anyway. So why didn't Parliament first stop this wastage of resources from the time of the budget? You see, they budgeted a lot of money to the extent that some has been used as a casino, the other case, which service award. Other monies have been buying former speakers and speakers very expensive vehicles. Other monies have been allocated to the office of the speaker and the deputy speaker in billions. You find somebody having 15 billion annual budget or something like that. That means more than $1 billion every month. All those wastage were embedded within the budget at the beginning. And that is where the money now was budgeted in a wasteful manner. Now, people are trying to burglar-proof the house against thievery when actually the thieves were already inside. So, going back
So are MPs being dishonest in coming out to say, we are saving the taxpayer?
They may not be dishonest, but I don't think they are very focused on what they wanted to do. Or if they wanted to save the funds. But that as it is, I wanted to go back to the question of the symbolism involved here. And first of all, it is inevitable now that the parliamentary sittings are going to take place anyway. The money is going to be used by whatever means. And I think maybe NRM is going to do the politicking. And the politics is about politicking also. As you know very well, Mr.
But you'd also give it to the opposition. The opposition is also making a statement. Isn't that political as well?
I think it is not as effective as if they participated. Now, what do I mean if they participated very actively? Of course, NRM is going to demonstrate what they have done for the people of Gulu, for the people of northern Uganda, and this and that, and they are accounting to the population and what have you. I thought the opposition would go and use, for example, UBOS, Uganda Bureau of Statistics, results, multidimensional poverty. Acholi sub-region is the poorest in Uganda. The multidimensional poverty indicators, it is above 60% poverty, followed by Karamoja, which is partly also part of the Greater North. You have the West Nile region. You have the Nebi region. Actually, by and large, northern Uganda, compared to southern and western Uganda, is the poorest in Uganda, according to multidimensional poverty of Uganda Bureau of Standards of Statistics.
Yes.
Of Statistics. That's a government agency. I thought now they would go and show and publicize that one, take advantage to show how that area has been left behind and it needs affirmative action or some other action to make sure that it moves together with the country. There have been certain diseases like the nodding disease syndrome. There have been certain areas of land grabbing in northern Uganda. There is a question of the upper land question. There is a question of these bridges that have broken down. There is Karuma, even the Pakwachi one. There is a question of railway line and infrastructure. I don't know even whether the latest infrastructure in terms of internet connectivity, northern Uganda is doing very well. If it comes to schools performance, I don't know whether northern Uganda districts are not among the poorest performers when it comes to UNEB and things like that. So you take advantage of this parliamentary sitting there to highlight some of these issues. And if I were them, members of parliament, and I was a mobilizer, you could even, because parliament is not about going to the chambers, in this case to the grounds to talk, it is also about petitioning. You can petition parliament, it is allowed. It is part and parcel of civil society activism. So I would mobilize the people there to highlight some of the issues that concern the region and go and petition parliament there and then, when the whole world is putting glaring eyes on northern Uganda. Then there would be women petitioning, those women who suffered during the Konyi War, the people who didn't receive their cattle restocking, and many other issues. Well, this would be the time to showcase them to the public.
Mr. Ndebesa, if I could hold you there. We want to connect with Chief Whip, the NRM Chief Whip, Honorable Hanson Obua, who will be speaking to our own Benson Ongom. Benson, well, we've already looked at the program of the day, lots of activities in anticipation of the president who will be speaking. But what more should the country gear up to in this sitting, according to the minister?
Well, Simon, I think there's so many expectations on this sitting today. I think it's a sitting that has got the opinions of very many people in this country. Other people have critiqued it, other people have supported it. Yesterday, if you see the events of the day, when the speaker arrived from Omoro to Gulu, visiting the different places, including the Paramount Chief, again also later having a meeting with journalists, a couple of questions were asked during that moment. And I will tell you, the expectation is high, not only from the people in the region, but Uganda, but specifically from the region. I think that some of the issues that people are expecting to come from their members of parliament. Let's look at West Nile sub-region. The issue of infrastructure has been there. If you go to districts like Moyo, Yombo, Yumbe, you go to Koboko, that infrastructure is wanting. If you look at the issue of electricity, it has been there. Yesterday, actually, journalists did ask. They've been connected to the national grid, but when you tap on that switch, you still don't get power. If you come to Acholi sub-region, I think there are certain issues that still stands out, starting from the 9th, 10th Parliament to 11th Parliament. The issue of power has been here with us. The issue of Balalu is here. The issue of land is here. The issue of Nodding syndrome is here. If you cross to Lao sub-region, I think the issue of infrastructure has been wanting. The only tarmac road that crosses to Lao is from Soroti, coming to Kamdini. Now there's also a new tarmac road that is coming from Apache, which is supposed to cross to Lira, goes to Pade as well. So issue of infrastructure, but poverty still sings in this region. If you cross to Karamoja, the issues that have been here, despite the affirmative action by government, different programs and projects, they still stands out. So the question that I will be putting to my guest this morning, Honorable Obua, so the government chief whip as well, but also a member of parliament for Ajuri County in a Leptong district, part of the Lao sub-region, but also the caucus of Lao parliamentary group as well. Honorable, good morning and welcome to Morning Breeze.
Good morning, fellow countrymen and women. I bring you warm and fraternal greetings from Gulu City in the northern part of Uganda.
Honorable, let's start from here. The parliament is sitting in northern Uganda, specifically Gulu today. What we have been saying that the issues of the region will be addressed. You are a bridge between the executive and parliament. And there's so many issues of this region that has come in parliament before. I've just cited the example of APA. I think there are over 7 different government parliament committees that have been on ground, and they have all given recommendation. The issue of Nodding syndrome, the issue of infrastructure. People are saying, how different will this parliamentary sitting be as government fail on job?
First and foremost, the parliamentary sitting in Gulu City derives its mandate from Article 95, Sub-Article 2 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, 1995, as amended. In the views of the constitutional framers, they gave, through Article 95, Clause 2, mandate to the Speaker of Parliament, through a proclamation, for the House to sit in any part of the country. In fact, the coaching of that article talks about within Uganda. And for starters, Gulu City falls within the Republic of Uganda. This is also historically the first of its kind from the first parliament, that is Legiko, through up to the 11th parliament, that the leadership of parliament under the Right Honorable Speaker is taking parliament to the regions. Just like you have indicated, we are here in northern region, but even before this sitting of parliament, a number of parliamentary committees have been to this region, traversing West Nile, Acholi sub-region, Lango sub-region, and Karamoja sub-region. And these committees are sectoral committees, implying that they look into the different sector issues. For instance, you have the Committee on Health that has been looking on matters of health. You know that government has a policy of establishing a health center 3 at a sub-county level, health center 4 at a constituency level, health center, a district hospital at the district level, then a regional hospital at a sub-regional level. So the mission has been here to see, because this is something that cannot be done in one financial year. It is a mission, it is a vision, it is a dream, it is an aspiration that will be achieved in a phased manner. The Committee on Education and Sports has been here to look at various issues of education and sports. You are aware that all these sub-regions, probably with the exception of Karamoja, now has universities. There is Muni University in West Nile, there is Gulu University in Acholi sub-region, there is Lira University in Lango sub-region. The Committee on Physical Infrastructure, looking at the commitments that we made on roads. And these commitments cannot be achieved in one financial year.
Let me cut you from there, Honorable Bua, because again, if you look at even the financial year budget for this year that we are now transiting to, it is budgeted for all these different ministries you're talking about. There's also a question that this special sitting, so-called, will it have an affirmative action after? Will it have a special budget? Because the question has been, it will wait again for even the extensive budget of next year to address some of the issues you're talking about, that the issue the Committee of Education and Health found on ground. So the question, will there be a different strategy or a different budget the Parliament is going to put through and pass through, or through supplementary?
First of all, government needs to be appreciated, because looking back 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, you can count the number of infrastructural development that has come. Even as we speak, you are aware that there are commitments that were made, there are works that are currently going on. West Nile recently was connected to the national grid since Uganda attained independence. You are aware that, for instance, in Lango, there is ongoing construction from Maram to Tamak, the road from Masindi Port through Apach to Lira, coming up to the road going to Kitgum. You are also aware that the road from Kitgum to Chidepo has already been given out to be upgraded into a tarmac. You have seen within the different cities established the infrastructural development under USMID. All these are development being brought by government in a phased manner, on a case-by-case basis. Now, the coming of Parliament, you are aware that under the Constitution of Uganda, the mandate of appropriation is Parliament. First of all, we are here on an evidence-based mission, because seeing is believing. The Parliament will sit in this region, first of all, to attend to majorly and primarily issues of the region. There are issues that have been captured in the budget, but due to non-availability of resources, we keep on postponing them. There are issues captured, currently works are going on. There are new issues that must be captured for consideration, because the budget cycle of the government of the Republic of Uganda starts in the month of September 2024. That is for the next financial year. So all this will be amalgamated, all this will be factored into a comprehensive plan of action. And that plan of action may not be achieved in the short run. There are those that can be achieved in the short run. There are those that will be achieved in the medium term, then in the long term. When you look at, for instance, the corporate social responsibilities, for instance, where we are seated is Kaunda Ground. You know that Kaunda Ground was named after President Kaunda when he visited Uganda over 40 or 50 years ago. But this ground has never been fenced. The coming of Parliament to Gulu, yesterday the Right Honourable Speaker commended His Excellency the President for accepting that this ground be fenced. And through corporate social responsibility, Kaunda grounds that sits in Gulu City will be fenced, and the foundation stone was laid. Look at where we went at Peshe, where there was a medical camp. That school falls within the city, but you know the pupils have been going there without water. Through corporate social responsibility again, that school now has water. And the speaker committed that we shall have it powered by solar, among others.
Honorable Bua, I am very certain you are on social media. A couple of times you've interacted on Twitter as well. But I'm also very certain you have engaged on different radios and different television stations. Do you hear people speak to you as government on some of the issues you're talking about? When people are raising issues of why are we spending like this? Not about this regional parliament. Why is government taking priorities where it's not necessary? Today, when I was driving coming here, students of Gulu University, some of them are here on the street saying, why don't you cater for some money for the interns? As a government and as a bridge between executive and parliament, the outcry has been there. You have seen them. Do you think government listens to some of these issues, even when we are sitting together?
Fellow countrymen and women, running a government is like running a family. Even at a family level, you have your priorities. These priorities can't be met at once. You must put them on what in economics is called the scale of preference. And that is what government is doing. Human needs will always be unlimited. You solve one problem, you create another one. You solve another one, you create another one. Now, the National Resistance Movement government under the leadership of President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni is a listening government, is a government that walks its talk, is a government that practices what it preaches. What limits is the availability of resources. The resources for implementing all this strategic mission and dream and aspiration are limited. That is why at times we are forced as a government to pick on strategic and critical priority. For instance, Northern Uganda at one point. I am from the north, much as I serve as government chief whip. You are aware that we couldn't move. But now the guns have gone silent. People can move any time of the day, of the night. That is a plus. What you and me would require from government first is to ensure that there is peace, there is security, there is stability, which has been restored in the north. Now, the people of northern Uganda, the people of Uganda need to have a mindset change. There are so many other government activities and projects that are coming. Look at, for instance, PDM. How many parishes are in Acholi sub-region? Each parish, for now 2 financial years, is receiving 100 million shillings. Very, very unprecedented. Very, very unprecedented. Implying that in every financial year, in every parish, over a period of time, there will be 100 families, 100 people receiving this. Look at the program called Emioga. Every constituency has been supported. The different artisans, all these are meant to empower our people. Our people must be able to change their mindset, to embrace the different preachings of His Excellency the President, and ensure that we get ourselves out of poverty. These are deliberate government activities. In fact, government is doing both what the President calls Dongolobo, but also their initiatives on empowering household. Lonyo.
I'm coming back to you, Honorable, because again, there have been issues even in Parliament sitting in Kampala. Your ministers don't attend such sitting. I don't know whether they will be here to respond to some of the issues that will be raised by the members of Parliament. But I'm coming back to you. Let me get back to Simon in the studio, then I will be able to get back to Honorable Bua.
Well, thank you very much. Very interesting. Do you get this impression, Mr. Ndebesa, that it is a moment for NRM to shine? According to the government chief whip, they seem to be highlighting the achievements of the NRM more than a plenary. It's more than a plenary for Parliament. Do you get that sense?
I get that sense, but before we do that, there is also an argument I'm hearing from even the minister there that one of the purposes for having these symbolic parliamentary sittings in different regions is to shine light on the problems of those regions so that we can focus on them. You shine light on them by bringing parliament there. But the parliament has been sitting in Kampala, and if that, where parliament sits, the members of parliament can easily see the challenges here, I imagine the members of parliament have seen the roads in Kampala. Why do they look like the way they are looking? Or there was this Chitezi incident, or other challenges of Kampala. And the region, the land question around Kampala and the neighborhood and the roads, the road going to Jinja. I imagine MPs see that road every day. So, or the challenges that we find in public hospitals or the school performance in UPE schools, even around Kampala. So, if that would be the case, then Kampala would not be having as many challenges, sometimes even more when it comes to roads, for example. Infrastructure, it is worse than these other regions. So, anyway, yes, the government, you can see the chief whip was taking advantage of the situation to shine light on the achievements of government, of NRM. And any government will take that advantage. I don't see maybe anything wrong with that. That you take advantage of such a situation and highlight your achievements. Of course, you do them selectively. You don't show that northern Uganda, according to UBOS, and by the dimension of poverty, actually, Acholi sub-region in particular, is now the poorest in Uganda. Of course, you will not say that. When it comes to performance in schools, you don't say that. When it comes to drugs in hospitals and other social services, you will not point out those.
To what extent is the president's address to Parliament such an issue?
It is an issue because the president is a fountain of honor, and when he's speaking, or the media are focusing on him, and he is going to highlight his achievements.
No, particularly, he will be speaking to Parliament. It's pretty unusual. The president normally comes to open Parliament.
But this whole regional parliamentary sittings is politicking. And I've told you before that he is right to, he takes advantage to do the politicking. Because let me even show something about how Parliament is doing some things wrongly, but I'm not saying that the parliamentary sittings shouldn't be there. They should have been planned. You know, in government institutions, in all government budgetary institutions, when you have a ministry or a department of government or an institution of government, and you have a budget line, a budget vote, say for salaries, they can give, say, a university a certain amount, let's call it 2 billion for salaries. As the monitor points out today, you'll find the staffing levels are very low, far, far low than from those which were planned.
Right.
Now, if they give you 2 billion for salaries and you don't have enough staff, you will have to pay salaries for those who are there. So let's call it 1.5 billion. Now, the other $500 million, you have to return it to government after the budget because you did not budget for it. If you are local government and they send you money to do certain things, like say works, and the work plan had not been done for those works, you don't get that money and divert it to another budgetary line. If you do that, the Auditor General will be on you, the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament will be on your neck. So you return that money to the Treasury. Are we together?
Yes.
Now, we are told that these regional sittings had not been put as budgetary lines at the time of the budget. Are we together?
Yes.
So now you have had them, you have just planned them. How are you going to use that money now, which was meant for sittings in Kampala and for other purposes, not for example for constructing the stadium? and you put it there, and you divert it there, how are they going to do it? They are going to do it, of course,
As an activity.
as an activity which was not budgeted for, which means it is not according to the budgetary lines that were set during the budget. So the issue is that Parliament takes advantage of its situation, of its command of the resources.
So the argument of saving money doesn't add up.
There is, you mean the argument of the opposition? Well, it doesn't add up because after all, they are going to use the money anyway. And it was budgeted for, as I pointed out earlier on, that you don't burglar proof a house when the thief is already inside. He will just open the locks and get out. That's why even in the case of the service award of the Mpugas was won in courts of law, because you first budgeted for the money, you allowed the thief to enter. After he had entered, you started to look for money to burglar proof.
So how does Parliament look like at such a time when there is uproar from the citizenry about excessive spending, and then they sound rather indifferent? They go ahead with.
Let's differentiate issues here. I think there is an outcry out there about the budgetary spending of Parliament, which was exhibited by the social media the other time, highlighting and showing and shining light on very many of that wastage. Let's separate that one from these regional sittings. The regional sittings are popular, in my opinion. They are popular with the people, with the population there. But being popular doesn't necessarily mean that actually the purpose for why they are there is necessarily to shine light on the problems of those regions.
So Parliament is playing a populist game.
But it's not only Parliament and the government and the executive. They are exciting people, and when people are excited, members of Parliament are excited. I've just told you with a figurative speech of Napoleon at the beginning that men are led by toys. Symbols, symbolic politics is very important. It is sometimes even important that emotional politics is even important for nation building. If people can identify themselves with a national institution and we create a nation, we are a country without a nation and a state. If we can create a nation around that symbolic politics, I have no problem with it. But I have a problem with the logic they are using, that you see, we are shining light on the problems. There are problems in Kampala, and Parliament has been in Kampala. Have parliamentarians not seen the problems in Kampala? So the symbolic politics out there in the regions is going to excite people. It is popular with some MPs from those regions. It is popular with the population, but not necessarily that it is going to help them in terms of service delivery. But that symbolic politics can help nation building because people are going to identify with a national institution.
As we take a break, do you think these sittings are putting Parliament now on a new collision course where we see the opposition vehemently opposing and the Speaker of Parliament plus the NRM on the other side?
You see, the opposition must be extra careful. The opposition actually might lose over this debate because the symbolism, I repeat, the symbolism is popular. People are going to be excited. Now the opposition is actually riding against the tide. So what the opposition should have done, if I were them, would now take advantage of this one also to shine light on the challenges that the citizens are facing in that region. That, for example, northern region, Acholi in particular, according to the UBO statistics, according to the poverty map of Uganda, is the poorest. So you have not pointed out that challenge. You have not shown that northern Uganda since colonial times was left behind. No, not all the time. In 1950s, northern Uganda and eastern Uganda had overtaken some parts in southern Uganda in terms of cotton production, even in terms of education. At one time, actually, northern Uganda and eastern Uganda, Teso sub-region, were ahead of other regions. But now they are behind other regions. The opposition has not taken advantage to shine light on some of those challenges, taking advantage of the excitement, the euphoria, the chinyegenyege, as the Baganda say, that is taking place around that debate. They are instead riding against the tide and opposing something that is already popular with the population. They say politics is the art of the possible.
We need to take a very short break, but the big question now remains, is the opposition's boycott of the Gulu sitting more of form than substance? Good morning.
There is no...
Welcome back as we continue examining the euphoria and the reservations that have greeted today's regional sitting that kicks off in Gulu. Well, there are mixed sentiments here, but would love to see off the government chief whip, Honorable Hamson Obua. Honorable, Benson will be speaking, but Benson, could the Honorable also give us a final comment on what the boycott means and whether they will miss their colleagues from the opposition aisle?
Surely, that's a question I actually intend to ask the government chief, because yesterday the Speaker made a statement that there will be roll call if necessarily. So I'm going to ask the chief whip, again, Honorable Obua, the boycott has been loud. It's probably going to 9 p.m. I hope and pray the members of parliament will turn up. But from the boycott statement, and this has been persistent to your government.
First of all, those who are calling for the boycott, I would term them enemies of progress and enemies of this regional initiative. When a member of parliament is sworn in, he or she is served with instruments of power. One of them is the Constitution, where this sitting derives its mandate under Article 95(2). So that means the call for boycott of a constitutional provision is unconstitutional. 2, under the rules of procedure, this is equally provided for, and that is another instrument provided to a member of parliament. But all said and done, I am confident that a number of members of parliament are already within the precincts of Gulu City, from the NRM, from the opposition, including the independent members of parliament. We will wait to see from the turn-up. Of course, there are those who have tendered in apologies. We mobilize ministers. We expect each and every ministry to be represented here, at least by a minister, to respond to issues that may be raised tomorrow when His Excellency the President addresses Parliament under Article 101 of the Constitution, and by extension addresses the country, including what members will raise. So, in a nutshell, those calls will always be there. Even during the time of Jesus, those negative vibes would always be there. But I believe that...
Honorable, why would you call them negative? Because also the leader of opposition is raising some issues that Ugandans are raising. Issues of priority, issues of money and priority. Do you think, besides the call, which you say it's politics, but do you think there are also some ingredient that Parliament and you government needs to take away from his call and some of the things he has said?
You see, we will not run away from the fact that all of us are elected and we have a platform where all those issues can be raised and responded to. Now, for one duly elected to make a call against a constitutional sitting of Parliament, that, in my opinion, is very, very unfair. The opposition needs votes from the people of northern Uganda. The opposition requires services for the people of northern Uganda, just like for us in the NRM. Every morning, every afternoon, every evening, we are also struggling to deliver these services. The only forum that we have is Parliament, where you and me, the leader of the opposition, and myself have gotten the golden opportunity through the people in our respective constituencies to elect us. Now, legislative power is derived from the people. For you to fail to attend to this parliamentary sitting is like you are abdicating your constitutional role, your primary responsibility as a member of parliament. Because if I were a leader of opposition, this would be an opportunity for me to come and put the National Resistance Movement government on a mirror. But the moment you are out, I should appeal to the people of Uganda that it appears, in my humble opinion, from the call of the leader of opposition, that the opposition does not care about the plight of the people of Uganda. We are here. This is a platform that has been granted to him and to myself and to all the other 500 plus members of parliament to raise issues affecting the people of Uganda. Government responds. Some of these issues are implemented on a case by case. My brother, look at where the North has come from. I talked about universities. I talked about the tarmac roads under USMID in all the cities that we have. We are talking about the markets constructed in each and every city, from Arua, come to Gulu, go to Lira, go to Soroti, go to Mbale. These are significant investment by the National Resistance Movement government on a case-by-case, in a phased manner. All is aimed at bringing about development. So if there are issues not yet settled, you talked about, for instance, the thorn in the flesh of the people of Acholi is the issue of APA. His Excellency the President made commitment to the effect that he is going to appoint a judicial commission of inquiry. From the Book of Lamentations, from us the political class, I think His Excellency the President is now reading from the book of the Acts of the Apostle. He has appointed a judicial commission of inquiry. The terms of reference were given to them. I believe as we speak, this will be part of the report. Whether the commission has started will be part of the report covered by the relevant committee. But the status quo is he has walked his talk, he has appointed them, he has given them the terms of reference. Now, we wait to see whether they have commenced or they are still involved in covert activities. You talked about the agenda of the different sub-regions. Where I come from, Lango, I think number one is the construction of Akibwa Stadium, which I believe the Committee on Education and Sports will equally give the progress report or the status. There is the issue of the construction of the palace of the Wonyachi of Lango, among many other issues. We are aware that these sub-regions in northern Uganda, for instance, under agriculture and production, were the first to receive tractors and unheld tractors from government under the Ministry of Agriculture. Each and every sub-county in West Nile, Lango and Acholi has a handheld tractor. Each and every district in Lango, Acholi and West Nile has a tractor. For Karamoja sub-region, they started with about 8 or 9 or 10 tractors under the hire service. So these are substantive, I would say, investment being put in place by the government under the leadership of His Excellency the President. The people of Uganda needs to know, just like that saying, even Rome was not built in a day. But I have enumerated quite a number of initiatives, projects, activities that are currently ongoing, from PDM, Myoga, the development in our cities, the universities, the markets constructed, among many others. The investment in agriculture, the tractors we have in this sub-region. Why don't we make
in just 30 seconds, Honorable, should we hold you accountable? And the Parliament, of course, but I will hold you dearly accountable. If some of these recommendations that will come from this sitting is not taken, should we hold you? Because I'll look for you.
I can't say me as an individual.
Of course, your office.
But also, too, I have told you, there are commitments that may be achieved in the long run, mid-term, and in the short run. So let's give ourselves time. We listen, the NRM listens. That is the reason why the people of Uganda, after every 5 years, keep on entrusting the National Resistance Movement government with the social contract of leading the country. We shall listen to the issues. There are those already responded to. On the question of APA, can we now ensure that the Judicial Commission of Inquiry starts its work? On the question of building Akibwa, can we get the progress? The people want to know. On the question of building the palace, we would want to know the progress. On the question of power and road networks, for instance, the Goli Road in the Nebi Goli Road in West Nile, people would want to get the progress. And I can promise you, fellow countrymen and women, that the National Resistance Movement government under the leadership of His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni will listen and implement all these commitments in phases subject to availability of funds.
Thank you, Honorable Obua Hampson, for speaking to us this morning.
Welcome.
I hope to get you again. Simon, these are some of the discussion you, of course, heard from the government chief whip that NRM government is one that listens. There's a bit of outcry there from some parts of the population. We hope that some of the issues that have been raised by interns, some of the issues that have been raised by the people in Chitezi will also be listened to. Simon, back to you in the studio.
A very interesting conversation, and thank you very much, Benson, for engaging the national government chief whip. Mr. Ndebesa, there is a sense of us against them. I saw leaders or opposition MPs, or majority of the MPs from northern Uganda, speaking out against the stance of the leader of opposition for a boycott. They were saying it is anti-people. What do you read between the lines on this?
Thank you for that question. Actually, even if you read the sentiments of the chief whip, who has just been speaking, if the opposition stance continues like this, and if they are not careful, the whole thing is becoming tribal, or the northern question, regional. You see, the sentiments of the leaders there, and maybe even the population there, they may look at the boycott as those people, those who are going to boycott, that they are against northern Uganda, or they are against the people of northern Uganda, or they are against the Acholi, or something like that. And the likes of those members of parliament and the chief whip there can be turned upside down to say boycott is tantamount to being against the development of northern Uganda. So,
but also participation is tantamount to conspiring to waste taxpayers' money.
You see, the people, generally the average person, does not mind about how resources are distributed nationally at the budget level. They are minding about service delivery at the grassroots. Do we have medicine? Do we have quality education? Do we have roads? Do we have whatever? As to what is taking place in Kampala here, in budgetary wastage and relocation, they don't mind. Otherwise, when there was parliamentary exhibition on the social media, by the social media, you would have expected an angry reaction from the population. Let me give you another example. The Speaker of Parliament and another MP, I think Honorable Nyamatama, they went to, was it Rwengo or which district? And they said publicly that when there was the population there,
in Namuju's constituency.
Yeah, in Namuju's constituency, that it is fitting, it is okay if you abuse public resources and bring some crumbs to the population. And the population out there clapped. They cheered them. Instead, the population should have got grass and threw it in the eyes of these national leaders who were saying, please embezzle government funds and bring some crumbs to the people, which was a wrong thing. But the population cheered them up. So you can see how the population looks at these national issues and debate. So similarly, if you boycott these regional sittings, and particularly starting with northern Uganda, and you are a Senyonyi, speaking from Kampala, the people there might look at it as if you are actually against their own development. So the issue here I'm making, the point I'm making, is not that there may not be parliamentary funds wasted, But the issue is you have to be very careful about the sentiments of the population there. The population there do not link national wastage of resources and parliament taking place in Gulu. They are looking at symbolically. This parliament is coming here, and you can see members of parliament from the region and the ministers are turning it upside down. And it looks as if those who are boycotting are against the nation building.
Well, we're getting out of here, but do you think the dynamics of politics are going to be redefined by these sittings, or it will be politics as usual?
Well, the dynamics will move, and it is a question of shaping national, having narratives and how they are going to shape national thinking. How is national thinking going to be looked at? And I think the opposition is getting it wrong. They are not looking at it at a strategic thinking level. First of all, boycott can be passive or can be active. Now, how have they planned to make their boycott active? And earlier on I pointed out how Parliament is not about sittings and talking in Parliament, but also the population out there taking advantage of parliamentary advocacy and parliamentary highlighting of issues, so that you now mobilize the population out there to go possibly and petition Parliament while sitting in Gulu or Masaka or wherever they will be going. And I have told you earlier on that let the people who want, who mean good for that people in that region and its development, look, first of all, go with the poverty map of Uganda. The poverty map of Uganda was drawn by WUBOS. Go look at the poverty map and show it to the people there. I wish they could also go with statistics about school performance in UNEB, O-level, primary, and high school. I wish they could also look at the health map of Uganda and compare the two regions, to look at the whole notion or principle of inclusivity, inclusive development. The politics is about by the competition of principles. I would go with the principle of inclusiveness and look at inclusiveness. Is this region included? If it is not included, what can be discussed in Parliament to promote inclusivity and equality in Uganda, so that we all develop as one nation, one people, without other people being left behind?
So this is more of an NRM moment. Gulu is more of an NRM moment.
Well, if the opposition decides to boycott passively by only coming to you, to the media, to talk without going to Gulu, to mobilize the population, to shine light on the challenges of the region so that they can be taken in by both Parliament and the government, then it will be an opportunity for the NRM to shine. And I personally have no problem with that one. That is politicking, or politicians, whether opposition or government, do politicking. And if you fail in your politicking tactics, it is your fault.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mwambusya Ndebesa, for sharing with us your perspective on the judiciousness of a boycott, or lack of it, and what it means for the future of politics. That's it from me. Have a lovely day, and cheers.